The One have a chance to go 1-1 with one other team, at least tonight, and that's with HeroesHearth Esports. Anything you'd like to see from them in particular, heroes-wise, map-wise?
Just a bit better communication is basically all, because I really feel that they had a chance to come back and even win the game.
Yes.
And then on the other hand, I would like from HeroesHearth, when they take such a lead as they just did, to play a little, not as aggressive as they did. They just need to show that they can play it over time, that they can just simply run with the advantage and not play too greedy. And they got a bit greedy again with the Genji attempt, trying to take him down. That didn't quite work out for them, but then they, in the end, took the important kill against Urel and were able to win the match. But let's face it, if your opponent exploits those mistakes a little bit more, it can backfire, and all of a sudden you're on the losing side of a game that you had already a huge advantage in.
Well, as referenced before, the favored map of The One is gone. Infernal Shrines usually banned by HeroesHearth Esports. So The One are going to take us to Volskaya Foundry. Tetcher, do any The One patented strategies stand out to you for this battleground?
I mean, we've already saw them run it twice this tournament, once against Mindfreak, where it was incredibly successful, and it was also the closer of the two matches against Dignitas, where they were actually able to keep pace in terms of levels. This is where they like to run strategies where they go for the biotic emitter first, compared to those support camps, which we have seen already. They are comfortable enough on the map to bring it out pretty much whenever it is needed.
Both games also getting Hugo's Malthael. We'll see if they make it through the bans.
Absolutely.
I also want to highlight real quickly that for HeroesHearth, this match is incredibly important. As we mentioned before, the One is locked into 4th place right now. But if HeroesHearth actually takes the second map against the One as well, then they are all of a sudden in the position where a 1-1 against Tempest would still allow them to go into the second spot.
Wow.
Whereas if they lose here, they need to win tomorrow's game if it's only going to be a tie between the two teams, and we're looking at potential tiebreaker.
Yeah, and that's important. If you can, like you said, if they can get above Tempest and then get that tie, that is a much more feasible goal than looking at one of the best teams in Korea and saying, yeah, we've got a 2-0 unit in order to take second seed and potentially avoid one of those much tougher teams in the group.
Yeah, Miracle and Genji being on the other side. I'd want to avoid them too. Yeah, Liquid got a game off of Genji, but they're still scary. And Miracle, yikes, if they get any stronger, we might have a completely different world champion than any of us were expecting.
So the Garrosh immediately for the early pick again. And once more for me, one of the heroes that immediately comes to mind is also good old Jimmy. If we're going to see him on the side of the One at some point, they prioritize Hanzo first. They have also Tyrande, which not only picks it for them as a potential follow-up, but they deny it to the Garrosh combination.
There's also the fact that the Hanzo and the Tyrande were big tools by HeroesHearth in that last game. In fact, the exact triple combo was, and it was dominant. 4 kills in like the first couple minutes in bot lane with that Garrosh Hanzo combo is something that is worth seeing a couple heroes from. But HeroesHearth, they're still going to get Thrall, fantastic poking into these objective points, great sustain, and Deku Kane pre-setting potions, and a solid support in general. And as we always mention, Roots versus Tyrande is good.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not only that. I feel with Thrall already taken, we can definitely expect them to also head into a potential third melee once again.
Yeah.
So Blaze would still be open here. Depends a bit on what the One decides to go here for now. But let's see for the bans. I really want to see if HeroesHearth is once again deciding to ban out Reyna.
Love seeing the Deckard pickup before the next set of bans. Likely would have been the follow-up for the One, and now the HeroesHearth Esports are going to take Arthas away. Arthas, when you do have melee-heavy compositions, can be quite difficult to deal with all of the slows and the big area, even auto-attack slows too.
It's also just an absolute favorite of Hehe, so a solid ban, good research done, taking away something that was in all likelihood likely if they had gone into a triple melee composition, and it is what was used against Tempest when the One were able to take that map as well. Now let's see what they do bring out. They're going to bring out the Muradin once again, and Phoenix. They already have a fair amount of setup CC here.
No Malthael yet.
Not yet. They're leaving their solo lane open for now.
Maybe waiting to see what it is about that Thrall. If the Thrall becomes the solo laner, or if another different melee comes in.
We have seen the One run Phoenix as the solo laner before, but that's usually with a Thrall in their 4-man for the group up in that way. I'm not sure that will happen this time. It's also a composition that they mostly ran on Braxis, where they would basically have, or Braxis or Tomb of the Spider Queen, where they'd put Phoenix in the solo lane and then just have a Planet Cracker across the map to either clear the Zerg or try and snipe people with big CC with Leoric, for example.
I'm really not too happy with how the One proceeded after the initial picks here, because they gave over Blaze, they gave over Reyna. Now in the case of HeroesHearth, I think they would have been fine with either going into a potential Phoenix Earthquake setup, capitalizing on the slows of Deckard Cain. But now you're looking at a composition where HeroesHearth gets the Blaze late on that we already called they want after they picked Thrall. And I feel you had to know that. There's also very little to just stop Garrosh from moving in and trying to get his flips. So I think HeroesHearth is looking at this combo and is saying like, yeah, this is fantastic. We love what we just got.
HeroesHearth, in terms of area control, they have easily come out on top. They have so much sustain, so much counter poke, so much protection against the hard engage of the One. The saving grace here is the fact that there's a lot of armor and high health heroes here that Malthael's going to have an absolute field day with if he isn't CC'd and blown up.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sad that HeroesHearth didn't give us their Twin Blades variant. They played a couple of times in League, Planful Sky. But it's hard to argue with Blaze, right? He seems to be the hot yet again for a solo laner.
Yeah, and for the One, I think it must be, again, the rotations with Murd and Tyrande trying to get the kills.
Yeah.
Anything to add for this, Toucher? What do you feel like the One needs to do to get the win?
Not pick Dragon Strike. That is all.
Good start, yes.
No,
okay.
Like Carlos said, just the pickups, go for the last rights, don't try to pull anything fancy with the Tormented Souls, you're just going to get bunkered. Pick someone up before the bunker can go down, before the protection can come in, and just snowball that as best you can.
If they go Meme Strike and have their only engaged the Murd and Stormbolt, then it's over right away. You need that Dragon Strike,
Right.
you need that CC, there's just no way around that.
All right, this is it for the One. Let's see if they can get a win over HeroesHearth Esports in Game 2.
To Meme Strike or not to Meme Strike?
Never do it.
That is the question.
That is never the question. Don't do it. Stop picking it in my games. I hate it. It doesn't do damage. It heals enemy heroes. Don't pick it. If the One picks it, I'm going to get upset, Dreadnought. It's never the question. That's not to pick it or not to pick it. That's the question. No, that is never the question.
It's never. It has already been answered. Do not. I will say it is a controversial heroic, and it definitely is one that is objectively struggled to have the evidence behind it.
I thought you were going to say bad.
I wasn't going to say objectively bad, but it definitely, doesn't necessarily have the evidence again and the status behind it. So we'll see if we end up getting that here from the One. But for now, in the blue, it is North America's HeroesHearth Esports, where Crowan's on that Rainer, BBJ repping the Deckard Thrall, played by McIntyre once more. Ishbu on that legendary Garrosh, and Homicidal on Blaze.
Another opponent here fighting for that 1-1 is CJZ on Tyrande, Meng on the Hanzo, Hugo on Malthael, Hihi on Muradin, and last but not least, Lies on the Phoenix.
I think one of the more interesting dynamics between the Dragon Strike versus the Dragon's Arrow is the fact that there is nothing else in the remainder of the build that indicates one or the other over it. So,
yeah.
it really is just the, heroics are here. Let's figure it out here, the One. But I think, as Calder was talking and the rest of the panel was talking about, the initiation beyond having a Muradin is very important, because if you have a Muradin Tyrande kill potential composition and you only have one initiation, you suddenly become very predictable and linear in the approach to the team fights. And it's very important to have that kind of diversity, and it makes it that much more forgiving of a strategy.
Yeah, when you have the Dragon's Arrow, the stun allows Tyrande to do more damage, Hanzo to do more damage, Phoenix to do more damage, but when you go for Dragon Strike with this composition, there's no way to lock heroes in place, so the Dragon Strike doesn't do very much damage. Everyone gets away. Ishbu with a massive Groundbreaker is going to be feeling great about that. Nice zone here from BBJ with that Scroll of Sealing. They walk away, but yeah, I mean, if you're just going to drop a Dragon Strike casually without any lockdown at all, then you might as well have just used a Q.
Crow in there with a double sidestep, actually going to cost him his life. Hey, very good patience there onto that Stormbolt, and is able to get the passive proc and make sure he makes his way out of there. First blood to the One.
Yeah, and I think that this is the kind of rotational play that I wanted to see more of last game. I didn't want to say that the One messed it up. I just felt like on a map where we see those lanes are a little bit closer together, Ishbu was just able to provide so much protection. I mean, you were joking about Garrosh being a support, but he certainly was in the early game on the previous set of Dragonshire.
Turret camp started here by HeroesHearth. I wonder when we're going to see the response. It looks like there it is. Hugo on that Malthael making the transfer over to be able to match that with the biotic emitter in favor of the One. That is the only difference when it comes to the arsenal here between the teams.
Who sprayed? I think that was Hey. Just like, I got you with that Stormbolt. I got that stack.
Probably in a response to the B-steps BBJ was distributing after the Meng Swift Strike through. So
I love to see it.
Bit of bans back and forth here between the teams. but eking ahead is going to be the one, and that is a great sign here for them here going into the second game.
Yeah. Those 10s are going to be big, as Tetra was pointing out. I think last rights is practically required, and if you can get a last rights off before bunker is even available, you're going to have your best shot at killing that Garage, killing that Blaze. CJZ caught here and rooted. The damage is real. They're actually forced to use this healing pulse. Ishbu is knocked away here, rather stunned here, and that's going to be another kill here. BBJ no way out here on the Deckard Kane. Very swift rotations. HeroesHearth isn't losing too much experience because of this, because the one is rotating with so many members that there's just extra soak going on for HeroesHearth in this case by Blaze. But still, this will eventually add up.
And even though Garrosh in the last game, Ishbu was kind of on a tear, if you will, he had actually a few very big misplays beyond even just his rotation over on separating from the rest of the team there. Actually dropping an Indomitable before any major crowd control opportunities being available at that point in time. Late game, post 10, that makes a lot of sense. You're making sure I've got the Warlord's challenge, but to ensure you got a double auto attack doesn't really pay off that much, and that's part of the reason he couldn't retreat the direction he went, is for the ambitious Indomitable use for that damage there. So something that has to be cleaned up, but if you're the One fan, man, that is now allowing them to, again, gain some of that percentage control. They have Mercenary and Macro control on the top half. That's got to demand some kind of answer here.
Yeah.
HeroesHearth.
And also the bad matchup there coming in for Blaze is going to force a rotation down here. Hugo tries to get out, does get tossed into a Groundbreaker. The Wolf connection here is real, but it's not going to be enough to save McIntyre. He's going to be the first target. And this is amazing now for the One. They had so much pressure in the top lane with Phoenix and that camp. They can now regain control of this control point. They've got the 7 talent tier advantage. They're pushing for that 10, and that's that tiny window I was talking about where you can use last rights in a fight. Again, we'll see if that does come to pass. We're still a ways away from that yet, but the One is going to feel so much better than they did in the previous set where it was the tables were turned. They were unable to get any kills. They were just stopped at every turn by Ishbu.
And we're at a bit of a possible breaking point here for HeroesHearth. If they end up sticking around and delaying this fight for long periods of time while the macro is still being controlled by the One and they're winning these skirmishes, if they end up failing this objective, they lose the 10 spike, lose the objective, all at the exact same time. And the One will be able to just really destroy and break the base of HeroesHearth Esports. So it's very important that if HeroesHearth want to dabble, that they either win or just make sure that they don't give up anything elsewhere on the map, which is why you see the Phoenix and Malthael. Yeah. This is great play for the One.
I love, this is actually really good macro play, and they're just using the percentage deficit that HeroesHearth has to gain a faster 10, and that's why he splits off. Now that it's starting to even up at 87 to 87, that's when Lies is going to make that rotation down. Full commitment here to the fight from the One.
This is tense for HeroesHearth. Again, I cannot bring to light how desperate this is, that if they fail here, this game is going to look very different quickly. They're into the fray. Scroll of Ceiling going to be thrown out by BBJ. Groundbreaker not going to land by Ishbu. So we see the turret thrown down there by the One. Again, they had one advantage when it came to the weapons over this objective. HeroesHearth end up retreating here.
This is so good for the One. HeroesHearth going to tap and go for one last fight, because if they lose this, they know they're going to be so far behind. We do see the commitment here into Ishbu. The Treeglav has spawned.
Hugo
they
low.
can use it as a retreat point.
Looks like we're going to see ZJZ get in there, and look at that. Hugo cleaning up there, making sure he finds himself a homicidal. And Wolf, it wasn't as maybe drastic as I thought it was going to be, but it is still very grim for HeroesHearth Esports sticking around and struggling over that objective. These two turrets will secure the 10s in heroic advantage, and at that point, the One, the world is yours here on Volskaya Foundry.
Okay, let's find out about that Dragon Strike, you know, after we talked about it a lot. Okay, thankfully we are going to see the proper heroic. Crowan is caught here, way overstepping his bounds there. There was a minion wave on this fort, so he wasn't really going to have that to back himself up. BBJ low on mana. There was just no protection there. He wanted to be greedy and maximize the damage to limit what this Treeglav could do, but it's going to actually give the One even more of an advantage with this push.
Yeah, and I feel like HeroesHearth Esports has got to be kind of upset with themselves now, looking at the situation that the One has been able to get into, not because of the kills elsewhere, but just the decision making around that objective. I want to bring it back to, like, HeroesHearth had the opportunity to opt out and give it up pre-10 and then see what happens beyond that point. It's not a recovering moment, but I think it does stop the bleeding in a lot of manners. And talking about stopping the bleeding, homicidal, bleeding a bit of oil there, last rights out, and it looks like this should be able to be a kill from Hugo.
That's not the game-changing last rights that Tetra was kind of alluding to there. That was not the moment where you're like, ha, got you before the bunker. But in this case, he just simply doesn't have 10. That's the window I was talking about. And probably would have gotten the kill without it. Ooh, arrow whiff here.
Not going to connect, but Lies and friends are still in very comfortable position, accumulating a 2-level lead and another biotic emitter for themselves after the support camp. HeroesHearth at least have this information. Ishbu, no opportunity to be able to step up. McIntyre did get the turret. If I'm HeroesHearth, my best fight is that turret camp on the one side. It's the 10 into 12 fight pre-13 that I'm going for.
You know the cooldowns are there for Arrow. You know the cooldown is there for Last Rites. If you can hit this right now before that big stun is there, it's a huge opportunity. But the one also understands this, moves away, doesn't give the camp fight that HeroesHearth was looking for. We do see also, I really like Crowan holding to see whether he wants to get the Banshee or the Hyperion, because the Hyperion could be another way back into this game to get those structures to catch up in talent tier. But if it doesn't work out that way, you will obviously rather have Rainer's Raiders for that extra damage. He will choose the Hyperion here. Look for a play on this bottom fort.
Hey, sharking off on the side. Doesn't know Ishbu is there yet. Ishbu does end up revealing himself. Does get the reveal on the Hehe as well. Vision control. You know, we're worried about bottom lane, but we also have to be concerned about the top lane. HeroesHearth is not making much happen. And if you're Lies right now, you're like, wait, is this for free? Because it feels like nobody's up here to kind of dabble with me.
And it's unfortunate, too, I think, that Crowan chose this Hyperion, because it looked like he wanted to use this to guarantee this fort. And now, you know, sure, he has this tool to push later, and could be an ending tool if they catch up in this game. But at 0-7, at 8.5 minutes in the game, I don't know if you can count on that. You're going to be missing a lot of damage that Banshee would have provided.
We do see Homicidal on the Blaze eventually responding to the mercenary camp that Lies used to secure that top fort, but that gains macro control and rotational advantage to the one. They make the transfer down onto the bottom half while Hugo clearing up over the mid lane. Ishbu looking like he wants to move up, hits a groundbreaker onto the Lies. Will he be able to warp? No, he won't. Flip taunt, and it is done. Lies ends up going down at a perfect timing for HeroesHearth Esports as they are 25 seconds out from control point B.
This is the beginning of a window back into the game. We can't even say with only 20 seconds of death timer here that this is what gets them back into it, but it's a start. If they can control this fight before Phoenix respawns, try to be aggressive. Even without 13, you can posture, you can look to control this control point, and then use that to gain those advantages we just saw the one do when they had that lead in terms of control percentage here. However, you know, the one has that respawn now. They are sending him Lies right back up to that top control point. Hami's going to do some work here to dismount and buy time to build that control meter that later they can soak and catch up in experience.
To gain any percentage, though, while you're down the talents here is a big window.
It's huge,
it's a big moment here for HeroesHearth. 34% is what is going to be let over, and then it is on them. The responsibility is on HeroesHearth Esports to get that initiation pre-16, pre-Punisher number 2, or Protector number 2. And with double forts already down, the one may even just opt into an immediate keep with this objective, especially if they have that power spike.
Yeah, and it goes all the way back in time to that failed push in the bot lane where Lies is able to get the fort for free. That gives him so much to work with here in this push. Assuming they get the Protector, going to, with Meng, slow down this rotation. They're going to posture back. They respect that this is a very heavy initiation comp with the Sundering, excuse me.
Hugo still pushing through mid.
Yeah.
Wasted no time. When HeroesHearth all feigned this rotation up and started threatening Lies, he actually did not even look at the lane. He was like, all right, I'm starting on the next wave. You can tell 16 is on the mind here of the one, and it looks like they're going to be able to get it if they can get a couple more waves. Is this biotic emitter tempting enough? Hugo still on bottom.
The arrow is ready. Meng's setting up for it.
It's a 4 versus 4. It's going to be a 4 versus 5, though, because Garrosh is so much closer. Sundering comes out from McIntyre. Flip over the taunt as well. They're on to Meng. Stay a while and listen, and look at that. Hanzo is out of here.
And the emitter ends up being used right away, so they're all very high health. This is a huge moment in this game for HeroesHearth Esports. This is the opportunity they have to potentially turn this game around. They take this lead, of course, with the recapture of this control point. The Triglav can push down multiple forts. There's 3 forts of experience available. I know it looks hard to believe now when you look at the scoreline, but it is possible with this objective here, with how strong it is scaled in this map, that they could get 21st because they get this particular Protector and they have all 3 forts up.
It's a great point that you end up bringing up there. It's almost the experience on reserve, the bank of it that exists on that line of scrimmage here through the forts of the one. And I still want to raise a moment that we saw kind of come to light there. It's just the we were highlighting the macro play between Lies and Hugo and the pressure that they had out, and it has been near flawless up until that biotic emitter. They could not let that go, and it didn't make sense because Garrosh so much closer from control point B down to that, rather than bottom lane all the way up. I don't care what color that horse is, whether it's pale, whether it's bold, whether it's anything, it's not going to be able to beat Garrosh in that race.
No, definitely not. And when you're fighting into that choke point with a very sloppy engagement where you're so desperate to get there, you're worried about speed rather than setup, and that's when you find yourselves falling prey to Stay a While and Listen, Sundering, etc. So look at this, the Protector's very low, but they get all the top wall down. They're going to heavily damage that top fort. This fort will be protected, but you're set up further for that extra experience I was talking about that's going to lead to potentially the 20. But this is going to be where the one tries to capitalize, is when the Protector is destroyed, is to actually come in there. But HeroesHearth do get away by the skin of their teeth. It was a close call there.
But Hey has good posturing here over the turret camp, knowing that may be the interest. Lies actually reveals by getting the start up here, the rest collapsing down from below. Blaze actually did end up backing from HeroesHearth, so they should not show any interest here over the objective. Ishbu just maintaining vision, so they have the information of transitions. Dragon, wow, they're all... Hello?
That was a little bit premature, I would say. He was nowhere near the angle in which it hit. Might have actually just been a misclick, to be honest, but given its trajectory, we would assume they were trying to get that kill there in the top lane. But mistakes are made here. I think no matter no matter which way you look at it objectively, whether it was a misclick or an intentional decision, it did not have the result that was desired.
45 seconds until that's going to be back, and we'll see if HeroesHearth can maybe take advantage of that cooldown being down. They found themselves as
huge rotation here.
Yeah, the Unstoppable already dropped out. Lies going to get taunted. No opportunity.
Needs that warp.
He gets it.
Okay, Crowan's in trouble here, though. Look at the rotation down. Here's going to be a big salvo. They just barely get in the bunker in time. That would have been massive. They're still on the retreat, though. This is not where they want to be. The chase is on for the one. Hami going to be protected here temporarily by that tail. Listen, but the interrupt there with the stun. The Lunar Flare connects.
Hugo is an absolute monster here on this Mouth Hill as Lies tracks it down. This Vision Arrow actually getting the kill there out from Meng, but the inevitable end use to self-cleanse, this Stay a While and Listen, is why those last two kills were even an option here from the one. And with that outplayed, they are looking to pick up this bottom fort and set themselves up clean for the race to 20 and control point C.
Notice the rotation now for the one. They send two members to that biotic emitter so they can get that, guarantee that, not giving any opportunities for HeroesHearth Esports to go up to the top lane and take out the remainder of that top fort either. So I talked about the opportunities if HeroesHearth were able to get those forts down to get 21st. We don't live in that world anymore. It's no longer possible. The one is just a third of the way, or excuse me, a third left on that level 19 to 20, and that's going to be a huge power spike there for them. Let's see what HeroesHearth tries to do, because its control point is going to be up at C in just a moment, where the fort is already destroyed. And this is not a control point you're going to get against 20 ever. And that means the one's going to have it. They're going to have control meter advantage. They're going to be looking for other objectives on the map, keep walls, and potentially attacking the keep itself. So there's only one way I think HeroesHearth gets back into this game. This is a surprise engage. They've got a lot of initiation here with the Sundering, with the Warlord's Challenge, and of course Stay a While and Listen. I think if they just let this go, since they're so far away from 20, they will simply just die. I think they have to take an unfavorable fight talent-wise. I mean, do you feel that? I mean, otherwise, there's just not enough time they can buy. They're just too far away from 20, and the Trigloff will kill them at 16 minutes into the game.
I think it's fair to say that, yes, that has to be made here, but with one member on bottom, Hugo is showing himself on bottom, but they're willing to commit 4 people on the top half of the map. This is identical to the last moment that HeroesHearth was able to get back into this game. Is somebody off on another lane, but for some reason, the one willing to dabble in circumstances that maybe they shouldn't be, fighting off more than they can chew. Hey. He's not going to do that this time.
Ishbu in trouble here, though. Let's pop that Indomitable. We're going to see the blow up here onto Lies. He has 20. It's not necessarily going to save him. We do see the Stay a While Listen catches him there in the end. So this is that exact moment you described. The one unwilling to send Hugo off the control point to look for that talent tier advantage fight. Such a great moment here for HeroesHearth Esports. Not out of the woods yet, but this is one way they can now control this point. They're not.
Oh, this is actually a really good play here. So giving up the objective, I don't know if I would say really good, but the idea behind this is not contesting at that 4 versus 5 at that point in time. What are you going to do for the first 35 seconds of this? Because you're going to be taking a 4 versus 5 while you're down the 20 tier advantage, but I can just dive the backline and get a kill. 2 people get into the protector. That's a very easy kill on the Meng now. And so what this is doing is saying, the one, you're going to overextend while Phoenix is not available. We're going to kill the backline in this downtime, and you wasted the percentile for free here in this downtime. It's kind of a wasted Dragonite, if you
Risky
will.
decision though, and Crowan's dead, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, it might be.
I don't know if I agree with this choice by HeroesHearth. I mean, I see the reasoning, and I agree with what you're saying, and you know, if this works out in theory, but in practice, the one gets 2 kills here. They're walking under fort. Phoenix has respawned here, and what was an advantage in Heroes is no longer here. HeroesHearth,
Interesting.
with a tough call here. They made it, but this is looking like lights out now. We're talking about minute-long death timers at this point. Looks like they are going to tie it up 1-1 against the North American team. What a finish to this. We've had a few of these games in this group stage. Everyone's been here it's been a long day. You know, sometimes you got to make a tough call. But in this case, the one is glad to take the gift.
Yeah, very much thankful for this one coming out from HeroesHearth. And the one, I mean, honestly, well-deserved for the beginning half. Very, very dominant throughout all of this here, as they end up stalling out the Protector, giving a bit of a showboating moment. But in the end, they will end up tying this series 1-1 against North America's first seed.
I think, you know, we all expected HeroesHearth to do well in the group, but to kind of close thoughts on this series, I think the one has not only impressed and surprised a lot of people from the beginning of this tournament to where they are now, but I also feel like they've evolved in a lot of ways. They're starting to make more macro-oriented decisions, using control meter advantages here to soak, to have that experience advantage. It's a nice thing to see, and suddenly China feels like a real contender in this tournament.
I very much agree with you. Some of the macro choices that were made in that game from the one are a clear evolution of the practice they've been able to achieve here at this stage at the HGC Finals. But at the same time, I will say that it feels like there are kind of blips of the radar, if you will, that of what we used to see from this region, specifically Hugo always being on a different part of the map. And I'm not saying that that's a Hugo problem. That's a comms problem. That's a team problem, that you're willing to dabble in 2 different things at once there. But either way, they had the tools, and they close it out here against North America.
Well, we're going to throw it back over to Kevin on the stage floor, where he's got an interview ready for us.
Thanks so much, Wolf. I am here with ZJZ from The One after that victory from HeroesHearth Esports. And I got to ask you, man, what a great performance in the group stage. You had some incredible victories over Tempest from Korea, now HeroesHearth from North America. How are you and your team feeling about this performance?
就是说现在你在那个小组赛表现得很好嘛，然后你也赢了 Tempest， 也赢了很多队伍。那你觉得你们小组现在表现，你有什么感受？
我觉得那个这次我们发挥比较好吧，就那个赛场上的状态是就感觉很满意，然后才能就打出就才能那个出线吧小组。
Yeah, I think we are in our best shape, so and we very excited. So we now advanced from group stage.
Fantastic. Yeah, sometimes being in these environments really level up the play. Now, I have to ask you, I know it's been a common issue sometimes with getting Chinese players over here, but we've been unable to get your player Kexi over. You have a fill-in with Melody C from SBT, who's going by the name Lies, and he's clearly adding a lot of strength to your team. But how has that adjustment been going? I know it's been pretty recent. I think you said it was within the last 2 weeks that has happened. But how are you feeling your team is adjusting around the play with Lies having joined your team now?
因为可惜因为签证原因他没有过来嘛，那所以现在是 Melody C 现在因为你们表现的其实也挺好的，所以他想问说，就是 Melody C 在你们队，你们感觉他配合的怎么样，或者之类的。
我感觉就是 Melody C 那个技术是非常好的，然后跟他那个在一起打的时候，就磨合的很快跟我们，然后也就是。 他也很快就融入了我们队，找到我们队的那个节奏。我说还是就是挺高兴的。
Yeah, Melody C is no doubt one of the strongest players in China, and also he is very he plays very comfortable with Melody C, and they think they adjust very well, although it's very short period of time. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, one last question for you. I'm curious what you and your team feel like is the biggest takeaway, the biggest learning you've had over the course of this open stage going into next week. What is the biggest takeaway? Yes, essentially, what do you feel like is the biggest thing you've learned about your opponents and the field of play in this open stage in general, and how does that affect your confidence, essentially?
就是说你们在这一个算是小组赛期间，你们学到了什么东西？然后你们觉得就是对未来或者你们的比赛，你会有什么进步？这样子。
就是在那个运营方面，我们得到了完善，然后团战方面也是就是增强了。然后这未来的话，我们会那个加强训练，然后争取打出理想的成绩。
Okay, we definitely learn a lot among all the important decisions and the team fights, and we will try our best in the future, go further.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I can't wait to see you play on the BlizzCon stage. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, that's it from here up here. Back to you.
Yes, indeed, the 1-1 to end their group run. And what does this mean now for HeroesHearth Esports? Do we know?
Yeah, we definitely do. They are now tied in score with Tempest, so the match between them and Tempest tomorrow is very likely going to decide directly who will make it then into the second spot of the group. But if it's a tie tomorrow, then we're actually going to have a tiebreaker between the two teams.
Ooh.
Yep.
Pretty cool. That'd be pretty neat.
That'd be incredibly neat.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that, but also, if not, then it'll be nice to see which team is going to be more dominant moving in to the actual BlizzCon stage as well. But either way, tomorrow's games are going to be so good.
I mean, today's games too. I'm looking at these games, and every single time I look at that match, and I'm saying like, okay, now we're going to get some answers. And I come back and I have more questions than anything, because right now, if you look at that series, we had a pretty dominant performance on map 2 from TheOne. Even though there were some great moments from HeroesHearth where they all of a sudden got kills where they shouldn't have been able to get any. But you look at game 1 and all of a sudden it shines in a really different light, because in the end, that is a series that could have ended 2-0 in the favor of TheOne. So I have really questions and doubts now about how HeroesHearth is going to play into the rest now.
I feel like that is a big deal about comforts. You look at the comfort map, the comfort picks. If people truly want to not underestimate TheOne, they've got to start looking at what comforts are there, because if they're allowed to get them, they can make those kinds of great plays. We're going to look at the standings now. We've already told you about Group B, and it's very, very likely, I think, that Team Dignitas is going to top that group. And Snitch even said in his interview, you know, we've done our part, Gen G, it's your turn. Team Dignitas, they beat the team that beat them earlier in league play. That was the leftovers. Now it's up to Gen G to do the same thing versus Miracle, or Gen G they wouldn't be at the top of their group, and that doesn't guarantee then that they can avoid Team Dignitas. And frankly, we've been talking about avoiding Gen G this whole tournament.
Yeah.
I think it's time we start talking about avoiding Team Dignitas, because they are putting on a clinic.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas is already confirmed as the first spot in their group. The one as the fourth spot, so the one thing in Group B is really between Tempest and HeroesHearth. But you're absolutely right. Gen G wants the #1 spot. They don't want to face off against Dignitas in the potential semi-final here. So right now, they have to show their skills against Miracle, a team that beat them in the regular season.
And a team that has been looking fantastic themselves, Tetcher.
They really have. They've been so strong during the early stages of this tournament, and they have been looking so strong throughout it in its entirety, which is why they're currently top of that group. As she said, it is time for Gen G to face their demons, and they will have to play against Miracle in their last game tomorrow.
Nacho Jin, the Gen G killer, right? Previous teammate of their coach, Noblesse. It's gonna be good, and it's gonna be the end of our group stage. Tomorrow we start with Mindfreak going up against Team Dignitas, and I think that'll be a swift win. What Dignitas is hoping will be a swift end, that is to Mindfreak. Then we'll have HeroesHearth versus Tempest, and we've already talked about the implications. A lot of implications there. And then BTG versus Luna Meow. And then finally, Gen G versus Miracle. It'll be a great last day. If we have any sort of tiebreaker match, it would take place after all of those have been concluded.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that really hinges heavily on the match between HeroesHearth and Tempest. And that's the biggest question mark right now. again, I thought we would get answers. I didn't get any. I have more questions. I want to know how HeroesHearth now adapts, because they definitely are going to have a bit of a session tonight looking at those replays and thinking, okay, what do we have to change here? Because again, if Hugo doesn't run it down bot lane at the end of the game, that could have been a 2-0 for China.
What Kaldor's saying is that it's like one giant episode of Lost, is what I'm guessing.
I also have to qualify that statement real quickly, because I have to echo what Dredd already said during the cast. That isn't necessarily on him. It was either a mistake on his part or on communications. We don't know that. But that can't happen to you if you want to win this series. That's where HeroesHearth excelled today. They always found the moments when they could bring it back. They did it on the first map, they did it on the second. It was just simply not enough on the second map to give them a victory in the long run.
Touch, your final thoughts on the day?
Final thoughts are, I'm so impressed by both these teams, but we know that both of them have a little bit of polish. We saw the one, like you said, this time HeroesHearth drafted was not as prepared, did not remove as much comforts as you guys said. So in this case, you've got to be so careful on the one. There's so many things that they do still need to polish if they want to go up against potentially Gen.G, potentially Miracle, as they are once again, as we said, secure in that 4th seed. We saw some anti-synergy, some mashup abilities that could, should have been saved and delayed. If they can polish that up, they have the tiniest chance to do okay in group stage. But once again, it's against Gen.G, who are looking so strong, and we're just going to see how strong tomorrow.
Or Miracle.
Or Miracle.
Either way, terrifying. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for the analysis. Thank you guys out there. We'll be back tomorrow for the final day of opening week. Good night.
Will Spike, they get a 10.
But look at the trade of ultimates. It was 4 ultimates from Luna Meow, only 1 from Gen.G. That was the certification. Gen.G have such a huge advantage, and they're staying well. Listen on to 4 members that BFG is going to come across, but is it going to do much? Quite honestly, no. 1 kill goes across. They're going to try and look to bake cheese and put him in the oven, but he stays alive. He uses the Inquisition to try and top up his team.
Kyoto wants it.
Kyoto wants it. He's chasing on down. The grenades are coming from downtown, and Bake Cheese manages to survive, but the same may not be the fate for Bui05.
Comes in right now, Bin in down on the backside, but Lifebiter keeps alive. Cattle for now.
But Vayne so very low on the back end, and keep in mind that those shots on bottom and on top are going to end the game for Miracle. Tempo has to take the fight, but they end up losing Fan here. Dimensional Shift is not going to keep Vayne alive much longer. Nice shield coming out there to stop the reset from Frankel, but he is not done yet. Abundance though, the bait, the turnaround. Tempo is able to get the 1-for-1 here. Natsu-Jin now just joining the team, throws down the Howling Blast.
Battle continues here. Cattle there trying to go in, but that's going to be a second member to Haka Falls. The root comes in. Cattle just re-engages. It's a 2 versus 2. Bin trying to stay alive, but he will be the next to fall. That is 4 members down on Tempo Storm. The catapults have already done some damage, so Miracle.
Pulling 3 in, there's that Lornado Blade. Goes in for the jet propulsion. BTG thinks they have a fight.
619 just eats so much damage. The Dragon Arrow was good, but it was too late with Diablo taken out. That is the main front line. He didn't even get Apocalypse off in that fight.
Diablo still having 50 souls, but still not enough to be tanky, especially at a 3-level deficit. Team Liquid turns around and two with the big one, and look at the salvo. Pew, 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 as Arcader cleans up 3, a 4th about to fall, as well as LLK gets dispatched of, and Team Liquid says, okay, we're done taking heroes. Let's take a core.
I mean, there's no heroes left to take.
And now the attempt to protect the bottom bell tower as Tempest is attempting to push
grab.
in. The drag, the push, the kill, and down he goes. Reyna dead as Tempest loses another member. And there it is, the Void Prison, the ring, and the blow up.
Oh, triple stun there. All you need to set up for that ring.
On the way back as well. John, of course, still stacking 38 on the perfect storm here for him. The 7-sided, the mind control, and the kill as Anna falls once again.
Durance of Hay actually finding a lot of value right there, but it did not have the combo with the Grabo Bomb. That could have been the biggest chance. That Mind Freak had seen all game. Taz Dingo there fighting some value, accelerated by the level 20. This means every time he hits, he gets health back. Vanilla survives, but Mopsio pays the price. But does he really? It's a 1-for-1 trade, and Mopsio gets the last laugh.
I think that had those CCs connected, would have been a different story. Speaking of which, we are going to see insta blow up on Deckard Kane. Hey, trying to catch some members in the back. BBJ is blown up next.
Bunker going to be thrown down. Will Ishbu be able to get in? He does. Flamethrower's going on to Hehe. We see the advance there as Groundbreaker ends up connecting. Hugo seems to be the focus. No Ardent Defender available. Oil down. Homicidal moves up, throws out the crossfire, and finds 3 members here. Advantage of that cooldown being down. They found themselves a
Huge rotation here.
Yeah, the Unstoppable already dropped out. Lies going to get taunted. No opportunity.
Needs that warp.
He gets it.
Okay, Rowan's in trouble here, though. Look at the rotation down. Here's going to be a big salvo. They just barely get in the bunker in time. That would have been massive. They're still on the retreat, though. This is not where they want to be. The chase is on for the one. Hami going to be protected here temporarily by the tail. Well, this is the interrupt there with the stun. The Lunar Flare connects.
Hugo is an absolute monster here on this Mouth Hill as Lies tracks it down. This Vision Arrow actually getting the kill there out from Meng.